You're listening to the Clutter Fairy Weekly, a weekly webcast and podcast brought to you by the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas. If you'd like to participate in one of our live webcasts, please visit cfhou.com/weekly. You'll find a calendar of upcoming webcasts, as well as instructions for joining the Zoom meeting via the app or by phone. We'd love to see you. That URL again is cfhou.com/weekly. Now here's the weekly episode. Enjoy.
Hi, Clutter Fairy fans. This is the Clutter Fairy Weekly for January 27th, 2026. I'm your co-host, Ed Gumnick, and I'm speaking with Gayle Goddard, certified professional organizer and owner of the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas.
Hi, everybody. The Clutter Fairy Weekly is the webcast and podcast that digs deep into the clutter that piles up between you and the life that you want to be living. We explore the habits and behaviors that lead to clutter, and we suggest strategies to slow the accumulation, reduce the collection, and comfortably manage the stuff we decide to keep.
If you're new to our Zoom meeting, we want to let you know that you can share your comments and questions via the chat, and I'll try to make sure Gayle addresses them before we move on to another topic. You can also use the raise hand feature if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment yourself via audio or video. And we are streaming the webcast live on Facebook, so you can share your questions and comments there, and I'll relay them to Gayle. We're going to start by talking about last week's weekly tittle, which was called Pitch Problem Products. The assignment was to review your bathroom products and thin the herd. Let's hear from our participants in Zoom and on Facebook who purged personal care products this week. Please let us know in the comments. YouTube viewer Jean shared a bathroom decluttering report in a comment on last week's video. Jean writes, "This week I replaced old bath towels, hand towels, and washcloths." I know this was a little off the assignment of products, but that's okay.
That's still products in the bathroom, sort of.
Jean goes on to say, "Then I filled a large contractor bag with worn and unwanted mats, sheets, cases, and sofa pillows. This afternoon, the bag was gratefully received by the local cat shelter. Cardboard was taken to the recycling center on the way. I am loving my new, beautiful, fluffy towels and spacious closets."
That sounds like a very successful bathroom declutter, especially taking a contractor bag full of linens that have been taking up space in your bathroom. Linens eat up space in the bathroom so completely. It's a perfect thing to thin out and to suddenly have space left over. As you said, the shelter was grateful and you have a spacious bathroom closet now. That's a great refresh story. Thanks for sharing, Jean. Appreciate it.
Jacqueline says, "My bathroom is under control, so I've been working on jigsaw puzzles.
Oh,
I have another dozen listed on Marketplace with a pending pickup on Thursday. That brings my total of decluttered puzzles to 41.
wow. She is really sticking to it, right?
For a second,
That's
I
awesome.
thought she meant since the homework didn't apply to me, I just spent the week
I was
working
playing,
jigsaw
putting puzzles
puzzles.
together. Yeah, I thought the same thing for a minute too. That's so funny. Well, that is great. So you're like totally making the puzzles relocate and you're selling them online. That's awesome. And 41, like that's a lot of work. That's a lot of listings and making it happen. So I'm hoping that means you're interacting with some people that are into puzzles and maybe making some puzzle friends. That's a cool thing.
Well, I was going to suggest because we have a little bit of an overstock of puzzles, and I when I was young, I would do the same puzzles over and over and over again, but
Yeah, yeah.
life's too short. I'm not doing that anymore. But so now we're looking for places to donate, and we realize that our public library is happy to receive jigsaw puzzles. So if you have it,
Oh,
check with your library. If you and Jacqueline, if you have any that don't sell, if they just don't move for whatever reason,
yeah.
consider donating them to your library.
What a great idea. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have thought of that, but what a great idea. Especially in the kids zone, right? Where there's already stuff going on that they're pulling down and reading on site.
Yeah, and some libraries will, let you
Like,
check out puzzles. So
oh,
yeah.
that's really cool. Great.
Jane says, "I have bins for supplements and medications. I went through these and disposed of the expired ones.
Good
This
job.
this included a trip to CVS to drop off expired EpiPens."
Excellent and responsible disposal. I'm proud of you. It is a task list to responsibly dispose of medications and chemicals that you don't want, in the water table and in your trash can somewhere. But I appreciate it. It takes effort to get it off to the appropriate disposal place. So good on you for doing that extra step.
CJ says, I was going to work on the bathroom tittle, but my bedroom clutter was preventing me from sleeping well.
Oh,
So I worked on that,
gotta stop that.
including laundry catch-up.
Mm.
All day I was looking forward to sleeping and waking up in a cleared bedroom, but I was so tired that I crashed on the couch instead.
Sorry about that. You didn't get your reward right away. Well, that's okay. When you went back to it the next time, the bed was there, cleared and waiting for you. So good for noticing that the state of the bedroom was affecting your sleep and making it uncomfortable for you and doing something about it so that you felt better. That's really awesome and excellent self-care and excellent picking the decluttering project that impacts you the most and gives you the best reward right away. So good job on doing that and figuring it out. And I hope that you slept in your new bedroom the next night instead of the couch. Oh,
Let's see. Um,
that's funny.
Jacqueline mentioned the senior center near her also takes puzzles. That's a great place to
Mm-hmm.
take puzzles.
Yeah.
Um, oh dear, M says, I didn't do the tittle. I worked on the aftermath of having my backup drive deliver corrupted files. Ooh, terrible.
Yeah,
Hate
yeah.
that. Let's see.
Computer things make me twitch.
Some more talk about puzzles, but I think we should probably move on to our main topic.
Ooh, but somebody
Oh,
says,
wait,
CJ says,
what did I miss?
bonus, hubby made the bed in the morning to keep it looking nice for me.
Oh,
Aw,
that's wonderful.
right? That's very
Yeah.
good. I'm glad he helped.
Okay, let's move on. People with clutter issues often report feeling overwhelmed, like a juggler trying to keep too many balls in the air. Even when they know where they'd like to go, they can't always see a way to get there through the confusion. Today, we're going to explore the condition of overwhelm and offer practical pointers to get unstuck and stay in motion on your organizing and decluttering projects.
I have an organizing business because so many people get completely overwhelmed by their clutter projects and don't know where or how to get started. They get overwhelmed because they see a project that they're desperate to clean up, but they can't imagine what it'll take to complete it. An overwhelmed person looks at the totality of the project all at once, everything that needs fixed, and I think their brains short circuit at that point. What is causing overwhelm anyway? As I mentioned, if you look at the whole project simultaneously and panic at the sight of all the things that need doing, you will certainly feel overwhelmed. No one can work all of a project at the same time, and trying to come up with a project plan that handles everything at once is not possible. There's no such plan, not unless you have a huge team of people come in to work in lots of areas at the same time. And even then, you can't manage that big a team and make all the keep toss decisions you need to make to keep them all working at the same time. So I think the first real problem creating overwhelm is trying to find a process that works on everything at the same time. And it's not really possible. And so your brain gets stuck at that opening point of the process. Next, the longer it's been since your space has spun out of control, the more time since you've last tried to clear up a big mess, the harder it is to face the project. Overwhelm is kind of like entrenched avoidance. If you've been avoiding facing a project while it slowly gets worse, then that procrastination over time makes starting the project all the more overwhelming because of the long-term avoidance. I don't know about you, but when I avoid doing things because I'm not sure how to tackle it, or I think it'll be really hard to do it, or I think it'll be super annoying and boring when I get started on it, I get more and more convinced about how bad it will be to tackle the project. It starts to loom in my mind as this impossible task, and it gets more impossible the more time goes by with me avoiding facing it. The longer I refuse to look at it directly, the larger it grows in my mind, and I'm totally overwhelmed at that point. Also, if you think that you need specific resources to work on the project, but you don't have access to or the cooperation of those resources, you feel like you've reached an impasse that prevents any movement at all. Sometimes we think we need a strong body to do a specific task, or we need our kids to come help us since the stuff will be there someday, or we need expensive products to make it work. If the strong body is not willing to help, or the kids don't want to work on your clutter since they have enough of their own clutter, then you shut down for the lack of the desired resources. You want your spouses or your kids' help and they won't give it, and then you feel stuck. No movement forward at all. You just freeze at the crossroads of, I need help with this, and my help doesn't want to work on this. And that's a really annoying place to be, isn't it? When you've decided that your path to accomplishing it is getting these people involved and they don't want to be involved. And, then you feel like you're stuck there and you can't move. Another reason you might be feeling overwhelmed is because of the disposal situation it creates. You want to give away your things in a practical way to the right people who need the items. The fool's errand of matching your donations to the exact right person can be nearly impossible for all the things you need to let go. Conceiving of how to rehome so many of your items is a totally overwhelming situation. We always want to offer things to as many people as we can, but the most expedient way to dispose of a lot of things is to discard in bulk, surrendering all kinds of things to one charity or shelter. If we try to manage the perfect matchup game with our donations, that task list of people to call and meet for exchanging the items or things to take to the post office to mail to someone quickly becomes an overwhelming list of things to do. The thought of everything it will take to get those items each to the right person can stop you in your tracks. And I see that a lot actually out in the field. If you've reached this state of mind when faced with your organizing project and your mind has become completely overwhelmed, then how do you get started on a project? One step at a time is illogical, but everybody wants to do one step at a time. And it seems logical is what I mean by that. But it doesn't tell you what step to take first or why. And actually, any step at all is the right one when the task is big and you're frozen in place. And I have a list here of things to start working. And so I just want to, before I shift into the solution side, I want to pick up if there's any
Yeah.
chat here on the
Okay.
overwhelm part.
Yes. This is unrelated, but May says we need a show just about puzzles. I don't know if she's suggesting we fork off a complete separate weekly webcast about jigsaw puzzles or just that we do one episode. But Connie says the times I have felt overwhelmed is right after I have been away and come back and see too much stuff left undone, or when I've been ill and again, so much was left undone. So there it has to do with getting out of the regular routine, either on purpose or because you had no choice. And then you come back and you can suddenly see all the stuff.
And I think that reflects how sort of blind we get to it when our environment sort of becomes the same. It sort of folds into the background is what I'm saying. When it looks like the architecture, when it looks like part of the structure of the room, we get used to the way that it is and we sort of become blind to it. But when you leave the house and stay somewhere else so that you're visually refreshed at that point by another environment, and you come back in and it's like, oh yeah, this is what this looks like. It's suddenly a surprise. And I think that when you go on vacation and you are in a completely different environment, you're sleeping in a different environment, you have totally different experience from your normal, and then you come home, your home has stopped being background noise and it becomes very upfront and in your face. When you're ill, it's the same thing because you don't move around the house in the same way as when you're ill as when you're well. And so you have routines that you follow when you are feeling okay. You do things kind of in the same way. You move about the house in the same way. But when you're ill, all of those things are really disrupted. You sleep in different places. You don't sleep in the same way. You can't take care of yourself in the same way. You can't do the chores around the house because you don't feel well. And so it also effectively breaks your sort of sliding by perception of the room because you've stopped doing all your normal routines and moving around the house like you normally do. And so being really sick serves the same function just without leaving the house. It interrupts your routine and it interrupts what makes your surroundings kind of blind to you.
Well, and when you're sick, you also,
Mhm.
you may be sick enough that you can't do any of the things that are on your list, but
Mm.
well enough to still be aware of all the things that are on your list. So you can just
Right.
lie there, miserable, watching reruns and thinking, "Oh, I really wish I could do this, that, and the other." And
Hmm.
and the sense of overwhelm grows because you can
You're
just
stuck.
feel yourself getting farther behind.
Yeah, I think you're
Catherine
right.
says, I panic easily. I also distract easily, and new items and projects of interest keep popping up.
So I think the idea of panicking easily is an interesting one, and this is where I have that experience around the house. Like it's been a long time since I've owned a home, and now I own a home again, and we're having all this freezing weather, and I've been super worried about what am I going to do about the pipes and what happens if the water, what if something bursts and, blah, blah, blah. And I got to protect the plants and yada, yada. So there was all this preparation to do. And I had a moment of panic about it, of anxiety about it. And then I just had to go, yeah, yeah, it's not that the tasks are difficult, they're just annoying. It's not that I can't do them, it's just I really wish I was not doing them right now. Like,
Yeah,
I would rather not be bent over a pipe with tape and insulation and trying to wrap things around and like what an annoying thing to do, right? It's a sense of being responsible and having to manage. And so I think that panic comes from partially believing that you don't know how to solve the problem. And I've learned to tell myself in my old age, if I don't know how to solve the problem, I can ask people, I can look it up, I can find something, right? And so there is some element of recognizing that you may be responding emotionally to a trigger, a distress, something that you don't know how to fix in the moment, but that panic can be walked past. And you can stop yourself and say, yeah, yeah, this is annoying. Yeah, I don't know what to do about this, but I'm smart and I know people and I can call and ask for help and I can call my neighbor and I can ask I called my friend Nori and said, what do I need to do about fill in the blank? She owned a home for longer than me and she had advice. And so, if I know nothing, then somebody that knows even remotely a little bit about it is doing better than me. And so I can go and ask for that help, right? And so I've learned that panic is all about me being afraid that I don't know what to do and I'm going to mess it up. But the truth is, I'm a viable adult and I can make phone calls and I can do research and there's solutions to be found. And I just need to stay calm and do something about it. And so didn't make it any more fun to bend over the faucet with the tape and the towel and the insulation, but I was able to do it. And so then I just had to wait around and see how hard the freeze was gonna be,
yeah.
right?
Um, I get the panic response. And what it made me think of is I want to talk for a minute about the juggling metaphor that we used for the graphic this week
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
alluded to in the materials. Um, One of the situations in which I feel a sense of panic is I'm doing my juggling act. I've got, say, five balls in the air, whatever they are, a project I'm working on for a client and something that I need to do for my dad and whatever. I've
Yeah.
got these five balls I'm trying to keep in the air, and someone comes along and says, "Oh, here's one more."
Right.
And my reaction to that tends to be panic. So if I'm already spread a little too thin,
Yeah, you're already at the edge.
adding another responsibility is going to push me into overwhelm and panic. And then another is, and here I guess we have to twist the metaphor a little further and say, if I am not adequately on top of my game. Like I've let things slide a little bit. So my to-do lists and priorities, my project lists aren't up to date. I don't know what I have a vague sense of all the projects I'm working on, but I fear there are things that may be slipping through the cracks. So I'm in that place. I'm trying to juggle in the dark. Someone only has to even mention the idea of adding one more thing, and will fall apart, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's the sort of my way of saying, um, oh, and that also, I also get, Catherine says, I distract easily and new items and projects of interest keep popping up. And so this is where having a system where you collect all that stuff becomes critically important, you know, and
Without going down the rabbit hole, right? Like
right, right.
that looks interesting. I want to pursue that, but I can't do it right now.
Yeah. So whatever, and whatever system you have from a very simple, this every day I write a post-it with three things on it. And so if a new item or project comes up during the day, it's like, that's great, but that has to go somewhere else. That can't go on the post-it of the three things I'm planning to get done today.
Hmm.
So,
Because it has to wait its turn.
right. Because I decided at the time, at the time when I was planning this day, I already made my choices. So in other words, you kind of have to have a system to that can accommodate the distractions and the new items.
It's true. And I will also say that one of the side effects of being overwhelmed is that sometimes you struggle to grade priority. Like if you're
Right?
already overwhelmed and the new things come in and we start to panic because they've added a new thing,
Right.
we're already overwhelmed, we get more overwhelmed. I think the hardest part there is going, okay, I know it feels like it's a really big fire drill,
Just because the client yelled at me does not mean it goes to the top of the list.
right? Or just because I'm panicking because I don't know what to do right now doesn't mean that it needs my attention in this moment. Like
Yeah.
there's still recognizing that your judgment might be a little compromised when you're overwhelmed, and talking yourself down from that. It's like I can still deal with this. I'm overwhelmed, but I still am able to go, yeah, this is not, if I think about it for just a minute, this is not an imminent priority. It's their fire drill, not my fire drill. Whatever that
Yeah.
feels like. I
Yeah.
don't need to be pushed around by their priorities. I have my own. And, talking yourself through that, I think, or, reaching out to somebody to ask them to help you talk through it. Sometimes I am doing that. I'm like calling and going, okay, I have, there's this much going on and I'm freaking out about it. And somebody just talks to me for a minute and I say it all out loud. And then I'm able to reorganize, reprioritize, decide. I think that there's things that we can all agree. If there's water pouring through the ceiling, that just went to the
It
top of
goes
your
to the top of the
list.
list.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
if there's very obvious damage immediately happening right then, like, you can't help a client because there's water coming in your ceiling. I had this experience because I went to the bead retreat and Penny took my house key because she was staying here before the retreat, and she had her house key with her, the spare house key with her, and she took it with her to temple. And then I left, expecting the cat sitter to be able to come in with that house key,
Oops.
and it was not there. So she called me right like an hour after I got up there. She called to say, there's no key in the lockbox to let me in, and I had that moment of, oh no, that is bad. I'm 3 hours away from the house. The cat sitter can't get in. The cats were outside. The blah blah blah. I totally messed that up. And ultimately, the solution was drive home for 3 hours with the key and drive back 3 hours. No, or call a locksmith and have the front
Hmm.
door rekeyed, which is what I did. So,
Wow.
I had my 30 minutes of, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And what am I going to do? And da da da. And then it was like, okay, get a grip. It's not the first time, there's got to be a way that doesn't involve breaking into the house, breaking something.
Right.
And,
Or 6 hours of
it
extra
was
driving.
right. And it was, spend the money to have the locksmiths come and, okay, fine. Did I want to spend that money on? No, but I created the problem and that was the solution was to have the expert come. And then, the person was there and he opened the door in 5 minutes, which, is a little nerve wracking when you think about it, but I try not to think about that. and he was in and the cat sitter was able to do her job and I didn't mess up her day too badly. And, and we got around it. And so, yeah, like sometimes it's just like, oh my God, here's the next thing on the list. Oh, that makes me totally freak out.
Yeah.
Oh, but wait, I'm a grown up and I can figure this out and I can ask for help and support and, it'll be okay. And, if I didn't have the money for the locksmith, I would have driven home
Yeah.
and given the key and driven back. Like, that it was my mistake to fix. And so, there's solutions that can be fixed faster with money or not as fast if you don't have money, but there's still solutions is what I'm saying. And so, yeah, overwhelm makes us forget that we have capacity to problem solve.
I'm feeling overwhelmed because 19 more chat messages have turned up while we've been talking about Catherine's message. Amanda says, here's how I spell decluttering overwhelm. Basement.
BA, oh,
Basement.
basement. Yeah, I think basement slash garage, depending on what part of the country you're in.
Right.
Yeah.
Jacqueline says it's never as bad as your brain makes it out to be.
100%. Oh my gosh, that's so true. We catastrophize our projects way beyond what they are. I mean, it is really not as bad as we think it is. And that was why I said earlier in my remarks, the longer you don't look at it, the bigger it gets, it just grows in your mind. And the truth is, the project isn't changing. It's just your perception of the project that's changing. And the longer you avoid it, the more like a monster it becomes in the corner of your mind. And it's really not impossible. And it's so true.
Catherine went on to say, what I need is an organized accountability group for setting and sticking to priorities.
Mm,
And Beth said, this is it. Here we are.
right? Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole purpose of a mastermind group, right? Is for everybody to get together and do a little accountability about I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and here's my report. How did it go? Whatever. Saying out loud to somebody else that this is your priority and you're going to work on it, and then having to go back and tell them how it went is often a significant enough motivator that you can stay focused and get something done. Like there's something about having to explain it to somebody else that
And
makes it not hidden, right? You can't hide it or pretend like it's not there if you have to say it out loud to somebody else. And so,
right. And if you have a spouse or partner or roommate or live-in
friend,
or family member who lives with you and who is one of the people who likes to add things to the top of your to-do list, that may be someone, to sort of loop in on, here's what I'm working on today. These are the things that are important to me today, so that they know that before they try and add something to the top of your list.
hmm
And that may, you may have to negotiate that a little bit. They may say, oh, well, you've got your three things, but I also need this. And you may have to compromise. Um,
yeah, and you may have to say, okay, I get it that you want that right now, but I can't accomplish that right now. I need to do these other things first, and then I can come and help you. Can you wait until 4 p.m.? Like
yeah,
it may be something that you have to, people that are used to you immediately solving their problems may have to adjust to you can't solve their problem for 6 hours or 8 hours or a
right,
day or two.
right. Yeah. Jane says, my mantra has long been that something is better than nothing.
Mm,
That's what
absolutely.
that's why I worked on the bathroom bins last weekend. That's what I had the capacity for, and it felt good to have this done.
Good job. And that's exactly right. That's definitely the Clutter Fairy mantra. Everything counts, right? No matter how small it is. I mean, that's directly sourced from Ed and his walking routine. Like everything counts. And it doesn't matter if you're, when he's deathly ill, he walks to the end of the block or the end of the driveway and back. Like everything counts. And making that true for you and then doing something every day, no matter how small, still keeps you in motion. And that's an important thing to know.
Um, in response to Connie's comment about feeling overwhelmed when she comes back from travel or is recovering from illness, Naomi says this could be a hint that you are too close to your limit under normal circumstances.
Mm.
So decluttering and reducing your normal load would make the special circumstances less overwhelming.
Very good point. Like you're
Yeah,
simmering at the edge of your limit already of what you can manage and how you can control it. And so that the slightest disruption throws you out of whack and makes it impossible for you. That's
right.
a very good observation. And that may be
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Time to
Let's
dial it
see.
down.
Naomi mentioned I also get scared of the financial cost that might be necessary to do the household maintenance.
I know.
Yeah, throw money into the equation and the potential for overwhelm just
The anxiety
dramatically
spikes.
rises.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. And the more sensitive a situation that is for you, the more important it is to source people that you know to ask who can do this kind of work and do it at a fair price. How do you accomplish this without spending $5,000? Like, what's a solution that somebody can do? What's resources that somebody can do that would help with this project without, breaking my bank? And so, yeah, I totally get that. That there's an added element of I can't afford it if this happens that makes this much harder. And part of how you can get okay with that a little bit is to do research in advance about who's available and who knows somebody that's got that charges a reasonable price, or what's the if you had money you would do it this way, but if you don't have money to throw at it when it happens, then what other way can you solve the problem that's more cost effective or less cost outlay? And doing that research before when you're not in the emergency situation, but when it's calm, will give you a little bit more armor. It'll feel a little bit less overwhelming if you realize, I've already come up with a solution for that, and here's this person I've talked to, or here's this resource that I've called and asked about when this happens, or when I have to do this to my house, when I have to fix my car, who's available to do it at a reasonable price. Research to do when you're not in the moment of there's water pouring out of my ceiling.
Right. Right, right. Okay, more great comments, but I think we better get back to the content we prepared so we make sure we get through it. But
Okay,
we'll come
okay,
back for more comments.
okay.
Let's see
Clearly,
where,
being overwhelmed, people relate to being overwhelmed. I get it.
yeah.
Okay, so once you realize that you're overwhelmed and you're stalling on getting your project done, it's time to get serious and get out this list of things to do to get you started. A start is really all that's needed. After that, you'll be into it and you'll be blazing a trail. So let's
You
talk about
promise.
some, I promise, unless you talk yourself out of it. So let's talk about some quick and dirty ways to get off center and begin the task of digging out your project. If you need a place to start, how about moving things back to their right rooms? You can just call it the first pass. Things are already messy everywhere. That's why you have a project. So moving things from room to room won't really hurt anything. Just pick up everything that isn't in the correct room and move it to the right room. Don't worry if you have to make a space to put it down. There's sure to be things in that room that need to come out anyway and go to someplace else, and so it will make some space. This is a great way to prepare your rooms for the next round of organizing, too. One way to get going is to isolate a small part of a larger problem. So pick a room, any room in the house. Now pick a drawer or a shelf or a tabletop. Just focus on clearing that one space. Don't forget your timer. Throw out the trash, relocate things to their place, straighten up and contain what needs to stay. The closet's an example of a contained place to start. You could try the closet and just clear the floor. Instead of working the whole closet, just focus on the floor. That cleared floor gets you a space to work when you're ready to tackle the next closet. And it's a small enough starting point that you can just worry about the floor and hopefully get to the end of clearing it off and have a place to stand and stop. And that's a good starting place. If you want to do something easy, something that can be completed in one sitting, then pick a 5-minute task first, like organize your sock drawer, or one kitchen cabinet, like the spices or the pots and pans. Organize your purse or your wallet, which is a microcosm of your house. You can clean out the medicine cabinet, for instance. Any of these tasks can be done in one sitting, and they're a great place to practice getting past being overwhelmed. Just because it's a little microcosm, it's a little cabinets, little drawer, a sock drawer has got all socks in it, so it's not a whole lot of random, unrelated decision making. Any kind of a small little project like that, something that can be done really quickly, is a good place to get off center and get started. Do you have trouble staying focused on the task? If that's your issue, use a ticking timer as a way to keep you focused, like a kitchen timer that clicks when it goes by. Set it for short amounts of time, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and work until the timer goes off. And then you got to do the happy dance. Repeat as often as you're willing to do it, even if it's once a day. You could still do 15 minutes once a day, and that would still be moving you forward because everything counts. Here's another way to stay focused. And this was sent in by a YouTube channel watcher, Jennifer in Maui. And she says, normally I get distracted or bored while cleaning and clutter clearing, but if the Clutter Free channel is playing on YouTube in the autoplay, Gayle's continually talking in the background. In 15 or 20 minutes, when I'd normally be drifting off to do something else, the audience and Gayle's suggestions are there spurring me on. I think, that's awesome. And I love that we can support you in that way. I've heard other people say that playing the videos in the background makes them feel like they're not by themselves, and it helps them stay focused on the task. And maybe if not the Clutter Fairy, maybe you want music playing in the background, or maybe you want a movie that you know the plot line of, and so you don't have to be watching it to know what's going on in the movie. Like any kind of background distraction that lets you stay focused and occupies some part of your mind in the background, sometimes that helps people too. Is it so crowded that you have nowhere to sort? You can still get started, even if you can't do it in the conventional way. Try the 27 pieces game instead. Take 2 bags and walk around the house and pick up pieces of trash for one bag and pick up things to donate for the other bag. So you keep going until you've added 27 things to each bag. So 27 pieces of trash, 27 things to donate. You don't have to clean anything that way. You're just hunting. Eventually you'll get to 27 and you're done for the moment. It's a great way to start when you can't find a place to sort yet. You can do this any day that you have 30 minutes, so aim for doing it every day. Put the trash in the bin outside, put the donation bag in your car, and then for the next time you're driving by Goodwill drop-off, you can pull over for a minute and let them come and get the bags out of your car. The benefit of this process is you don't need a sorting room. You don't need space to be doing any sorting. You just need to pluck things out from where they're sitting. Do this enough times and you'll slowly see clear spaces appearing, and you'll finally be able to tackle the sorting part of the projects. Sometimes it's just so dense that you don't have room to maneuver. That means you just need to be plucking things out first. And so setting the 27 items is just a random number. It doesn't have to be that number, but it's a random big enough number that once you move 27 items every day for several days in a row, you will see significant clear space appearing over time. And so it's a way to finally get the clear space to do your sorting projects. And then, the 27 fling boogie. There you go. That's a good name for it. I like it. It's just a way to say, I'm counting. It makes it mindless. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're counting up. You're aiming for a number that is significant enough it's going to make a dent quickly. And, you can go looking for things and you don't have to touch anything else. You just have to pluck things out of the way. If you're stuck for lack of project support and that's why you're overwhelmed, meaning you need help to move things or to haul things away, etc., then concentrate on finding alternative help. If your preferred resources like your spouse or your children are not available to help you, then accept that that's true. They're not available and move on to finding someone else who can help. Think of your friends, people at your church or the senior center, maybe a yard guy or hiring someone online via TaskRabbit or Fiverr. Just start the search for help that will actually appear. If you can't talk your family into it for whatever reason, we don't have judgment about that. I'm not going to speculate about why. Whatever, sure, we want everybody to come and help us. We want the people that are closest to us come and work. But you're asking them to come and participate in clutter clearing. Nobody likes to do that except organizers. So asking people to come and help you do something that they don't really like to do at all and they have their own stash of things to do it for, I'm not surprised that you don't get a whole lot of buy-in. So accepting that they're not willing, and no matter how much guilt you put out or how much whining or poking or nagging is going to turn that around and make them suddenly want to come and help you, you have to accept that that isn't going to work and go find somebody that is willing to come and do it. And especially because if your ability to move your project forward is predicated on getting help to do it, then you need to go find help that will actually show up so you can get in motion. So they're not going to help. If they're not going to help, then go find some. That's what I'm telling you. That's how you get past being overwhelmed, is you get people who are actually willing to come and do the work with you.
Let's go on with some more comments
Okay.
because we still got a lot.
I see it
Um,
popping over there.
M says, when I am presented with another responsibility, I tend to drop a harder one.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Let's do the easier one instead of yeah, okay. So I get the impulse to do that. And this is where evaluating your priorities and trying to decide, some things have time deadlines. Like this one is a priority because it has to be done first. Like the water pouring out of the ceiling has to go to the front of the line. But there's other things like I need to repair something, or I need to deliver something, or I need to get that project done for work or whatever, that have some kind of artificial deadline that's not super etched in stone. Or that then maybe I'm going to a wedding and the wedding date isn't moving, so you have to be ready to go for whatever drop dead deadline is there. When an easier task shows up, which means you don't have to work hard, you can get it done quickly, you have to stop yourself and ask, am I sabotaging the harder project by pushing it closer to its deadline and making the pressure on that project to be that much bigger in order to be relieved and work on something that's easier and stresses me out less?
It
You're,
is
you're trading
unfortunately,
one level of stress for another in that
well, and
point.
I mean, it's a form of self-sabotage
Mm,
because you're at best, you're just deferring the the stress of the harder task.
100%.
And at worst, you're you're painting yourself into a corner.
Right. And making it impossible to complete something. And so I get the impulse. I totally do. Like, oh, this task, I can do this task and it will be super easy and I don't have to think about it, which means that my stress level will go down in the moment.
Well,
But if
or you'll get the little dopamine hit
the win of
of,
accomplishing,
oh, look, I said I was going to throw away this piece of paper today, and I threw away this piece of paper today. Yay.
right, right, right. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And then pay
and,
for it later.
right. Talking about uh illness again, M says, plus when ill, one is clumsy, bumps into things, stuff drops or spills. It's harder to care. Right? I mean, that's my editorializing. M didn't say that, but yeah, it's harder to care about all that stuff when you're sick.
Yes.
And Catherine added, ditto when one is hurried or distracted. I have that gotta finish at all costs addiction. Should never subscribe to anything.
Because it's distracting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
Oh,
that You get hurried. No, my brain seized up. It wasn't the
It wasn't the
Zoom.
sound.
No, I'm thinking about that phenomenon where you're working so hard on things that you're so concentrated with getting it done that it's hard to give it the actual focus and concentration it needs. That's where the gotta finish at all costs impulse causes problems.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
hmm and it's creating a project plan, a project plan has a timeline, and there's some logic in the order that you do stuff and when things have to get done versus other things. And sometimes we create a plan and then we feel like we have to stick to the plan, forgetting that it was an artificial plan to begin with, and plans can be modified. And so sometimes the situation changes and the plan really needs to be shifted, and your deadlines have to change. And yeah, we're really going off into esoteric fields at this point.
That's okay. Linda says, if I'm feeling overwhelmed and don't have the capacity at the moment to make it better, I focus on a lower goal, not making it worse. If I
Mm.
can't get caught up on dishes that piled up while I was sick, I can at least switch to paper plates until I'm feeling better.
Well, there you go. Not making it worse, switching to paper plates. That's good. That's a very good point. And I think it recognizes the idea of you're in that moment, you're ill, and therefore your resources are at the lowest possible point. Your ability to cope and function has been compromised because you don't feel well. And so making what you do, changing your routines to reflect where you're coming from in the moment, I think is a great adaptation. And I don't need to add more dishes to the chaos. Don't feel well. Let's use paper until I feel better. That's a great adaptation.
Yeah. Ginger says, I've got three specific declutter projects: pantry, craft closet, mom's bedroom. The pantry would be the easiest to do, a few hours at most with breaks. I was going to do it in December, but had to switch my attention to the lake house. Got the lake house emptied in 5 days,
Woo.
giving away most of it.
Yeah.
And then she says there's routine housework, doctor appointments, etc. Maybe it's a bandwidth problem. Meaning, I think if you're frequently having trouble juggling five balls, you should probably go back to four, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that I'm sort of hearing Ginger offering some judgment about the pantry is small and easy. I should have been able to get it done in December, but other stuff happened. It's like, so it's still on your project list, and that's okay. It's not going anywhere, and it can still be done, and it can still only take a few hours to do it. And if other things are priority for now, that's okay too. Like, the fact that it's still out there doesn't make it go. It's not like, what am I trying to say? It's not aging or getting more complicated because you don't have time to address it. And maybe you can tackle it in your mind. It's a couple of hours project that keeps getting pushed off to the side because other things are priority. Maybe you can tackle it one shelf at a time, or like, I'm going to look at the baking materials, or I'm going to go through the cans. Like, you can maybe tackle it in smaller pieces, and so that you're chipping away at it a little bit at a time instead of waiting for the 2 hours that you feel comfortable working on it. And it may stretch the project out a little bit longer.
Well, Ginger went on to say, overwhelm is my biggest problem. I
Mm,
know it's not as bad as it feels, and I mostly know what's there, and the decisions may even be mostly made. It's pulling the trigger and doing it. It's the mess I'm going to make, and the fear I'll run out of energy, and the mess will lay around a few days while I build up steam to tackle it again.
mhm. Well, and I think that's an issue for everybody. Like, the project is always uh, more complicated than we have the energy for to do it all in one sitting. And so making that project be a smaller piece, if I'm only going to tackle one shelf of the pantry today, then I'm going to have less of a mess, and it's going to be easier. It'll be within my energy level to accomplish it today instead of trying to do the whole pantry and running out of steam before the whole pantry's done. I would say make your projects smaller pieces so that they match the amount of energy you have to put to it and you don't have to live with the consequences for a few weeks before, or a few days before you can come back to it. Mess up and clean up a smaller piece.
Um,
I tell myself just do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, your suggestion about setting a timer. JB asked, so you use the timer to do a set amount of time regardless of whether you finish that area?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think the timer that ticks is a way for you to stay focused. It creates this artificial, we race against the timer. When you set an alarm, you're conscious of the alarm's going to go off at a certain time and you feel sort of the compression of time as a result. And having that timer sitting out there ticking for 15 minutes, you are emotionally aware of there's a deadline. As artificial as it's completely artificial, right? But we react to that artificial deadline by keeping focused on what we're doing and sort of racing against the timer. And so it's a way for us to get a little bit done. And if, you're putting 30 minutes in, and if you put in 30 minutes on whatever area you're working on, at the end of the week, you will have spent some, 2.5 hours on it. If you do it 5 days in a row, you've done 2.5 hours on it, and you will see some improvement. You will see that you've made a dent in your project. And so if 30 minutes is the energy you got, if 30 minutes is the bandwidth you have for the day because you've got other commitments, you got other things to do, you got to go to work, whatever, then, take the timer, set 30 minutes, and stay focused for the 30 minutes because of the timer. And when it goes off, consider yourself, I've accomplished my 30-minute chore today, and consider yourself released and walk away without guilt and come back to it again the next day and do another 30 minutes. And it's just totally a way to artificially incentivize you to stay focused and to sort of get that sense of racing against the clock, which helps you do it a little faster, I think, and make decisions a little quicker. It's all artificial minor pressure. And it also gives you the, okay, I've worked from 0 to 30 and now I'm allowed to walk away. It lets you say, I focused for 30 minutes and now I can go do something else with a clear conscience and not feel bad that I didn't get the whole house done in 30 minutes. And so it's just a way for you to chunk out the project in slices of 30 minutes at a time and give yourself the reward of, I got the 30 minutes done and I can walk away because I'm going to come back the next day and do it again. And hopefully it just helps you stay focused and keep returning to the project.
Yeah. M says my 27, talking about the 27 things tip.
Mm,
M says my 27 things to donate are not likely to be in view. They'll be hidden in drawers, hogging the space that the stuff I use needs.
there you go.
Um,
Open that drawer, baby, and start plucking things out.
when you were talking about the 27 things exercise, I was thinking, yeah, there aren't 27 things. I couldn't find 27 things. Not in the trash category.
Okay.
Um,
Trash/recycling.
but set a lower number for yourself
Mm-hmm.
if you're in pretty good shape but still want to leverage this exercise. I could
But I
definitely
bet if you
find,
went into the basement, like the person that was complaining about their basement, right? If you went into the basement, you could probably find 27 things. Maybe you keep the house in better shape and so you don't have them there. But yeah, like if you can't reach the number, good for you.
right.
It means you're
Catherine
doing great.
says, how do you determine three things for a day's to-do list? I'm assuming you don't mean one, check weather, two, make coffee, three, get dressed. Or
Well,
or
you might.
some days that's a good
That's the
day.
goal, right?
Or one, write a novel, two, build a patio, three, drive from Houston to Yellowstone.
Right.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big question that
This is
I'm going to defer to David Allen and say read everything David Allen has written. and then we'll
But
talk about this more. No, but
truthfully,
yeah,
that 3 item list is the 3 items that are the next steps
right.
of projects.
Next, yeah,
It's not I need to write a book. It's I need to write for 30 minutes on my book today.
right. Or I need to dig out the notes I made the last time I worked on my novel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That could
Like,
be the thing. The thing you do today could be figure out where you filed your notes and put them somewhere that they could be part of the active project.
and that works
Or
for people that have plans, like Ginger, who has said, she's a good planner. She makes good plan lists. So she has all those steps written down. So then if she's referring to the list of projects and all the steps, then her 3 item list is the next one that needs to be done on her project list. That's the next thing that goes on the item list for
yeah,
today. If you don't have a project plan, if you're not a big planner, then you don't know what the whole plan is. You just know what the next step needs to be. If you go to a project and go, okay, what's the next thing I can do on this project today? And those few items are the next step that you tackle today. Whether you know what the 37 steps after that are, don't matter if you know what's the next thing you can do right now. And that becomes today's item to do. It works either way.
yeah. Well, and the answer to this question is obviously very personal, and it depends on are you still working uh working a job. If you're
Mm,
still working for income as opposed to retired, then some of the if you're setting the goal of accomplishing 3 key tasks a day, some one or two of them are probably going to have to be work related, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Whereas if you're retired but also taking care of your elderly parent, then you probably need to do something in the taking care of the elder parent area of responsibility every day,
Right.
and so that's you're going to have to find that balance yourself, and it also depends on your capacity, your bandwidth. Man, we are pretty much out of time, so
We have
I'm afraid it kind of snuck up on
to
me when
leave it
there's
there, right?
still more great stuff in the chat. I look forward to catching up on the chat after we finish the meeting. Gail, what you want to give me a final thought before we talk about next week and so
Of
on?
course, of course. What I most want you to take away from this discussion is that anything is enough to get you started. When you're overwhelmed, you don't have to see the whole huge job you need to do. You just have to pick one step, any step, and take it. That one step will get you moving, and before you know it, you'll be all the way through to the end. But however small that one step needs to be to get you in motion, that's the one that you need to aim for. And not feel bad that it's not the whole project. You just want to do the next step to keep you in motion. And doing something, getting in action is 1,000 times better than being overwhelmed and stuck and unable to do. And so focus on what you are willing to do, the step that you're willing to take, no matter how small it is, and do that, and then feel that momentum roll. And hopefully you'll be, in gear again. That's what we're aiming for anyway.
All right, let's talk about the coming weeks.
Okay?
We are taking the week off next week because Gail has a great big job she has to go work on. So we will not have a live show next week. We'll be back on February 10th at the usual time, and we're going to talk about organizing toolkit. Um, we talk often in our meetups about the concept of creating a supportive environment, setting up the conditions for success for yourself. And one key condition for success in decluttering is having the right tools and supplies at hand. So on February 10th, we're going to offer tips for assembling an organizing toolkit so you'll be equipped to face almost any decluttering challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to remind everybody that on February 24th, we're going to do our next book club session.
Ooh, the book club is coming.
And the book is New Order, a decluttering handbook for creative folks and everyone else by Faye Wolf. Gail, why don't you give us the title?
Okay. This week's weekly title is Breaking Down a Barrier. This week's assignment is to identify, clarify, and break down a barrier to entry in your decluttering and organizing process. Start by choosing a task that you've been meaning or wanting to do but never seem to be able to start. Spend a few moments reflecting on what's getting in your way. What is it about this task or project that prevents you from getting started? Spend 5 minutes writing or sketching about what obstacle stands in your way. Giving a name to the barrier might be all you need to start breaking it down to get going on your project or task. Identify a first step, however small, that would help you move past this barrier. For example, if there's a piece of information you're missing, could you get it by making a phone call or sending an email? Is there a tool, supply, or raw material that you're missing? Would a quick shopping trip get the project unstuck? Are you waiting for help to move past this particular barrier? Whose help do you need? Start the ball rolling by having a conversation with the person who can help you. Schedule an appointment with yourself to take the next action you've identified, or if it's something that you can accomplish in less than 5 minutes, do it right away. Review those steps, see what you can get doing, see what you can find about the first next step you need to take. It is find out what that item is, and have some experience figuring it out, and then come and tell us about it. We'd love to hear about it.
Okay, if you're new to, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'd love for you to join us live. To get notifications about upcoming events, we invite you to join the meetup group by visiting cfhou.com/meetup. You can also follow us on Facebook by visiting cfhou.com/Facebook, or join our mailing list by visiting cfhou.com/subscribe. We love to hear from our audience, so please keep your questions, comments, and topic suggestions coming on YouTube, Facebook, or anywhere that you find us. You can always reach us through our website at clutterfairyhouston.com.
Thanks, you guys, for joining us. We are looking forward to doing the book review, so I hope you guys are out there reading your book soon. Get into it. It's not a huge book, so it shouldn't be overwhelming to read, but it's interesting, so go and get ready. We will see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.